So we're out here on Microsoft campus. We're talking about one of the things that popped up, a big question or concern for people that are thinking about hybrid as a strategy is moving their customizations across. So this is something that back in the beginning of it, when I was at Microsoft, the group we were in, MMS, which became eventually Office 365, is that we owned all of these internal systems. So MMS was split out of Microsoft IT, and so not only building this hosted collaboration platform, we were servicing internal customers in these environments and doing migrations from 2003 to 2007. And so, and that's where I started to come into, like, as we sat down and talked about some of the customizations on these internal platforms. That's really what attracted to a lot of people to SharePoint in the first place, was this ability to go build it to meet specific needs. So how has that kind of transpired, and how does that impact the hybrid story today?
Yeah, if you think about it, particularly with SharePoint, when customers are thinking about the cloud or Office 365 in particular, what they generally cite for concerns, data sensitivity, data sovereignty are amongst one of the top concerns, in addition to customization. And largely because they have a history with our product.
They're actually using it, so they follow the guidance of the different versions. And
so they have some history with the product, and largely while we deliver it to them as a product, the implementation as it arrives on their premises becomes a platform, an application platform. So since the evolution of SharePoint, or really the birth of SharePoint, we've really supported that kind of scenario. I'll try to exercise some brevity here, but let's walk through the history a little bit. If we think about SharePoint Server 2001, when we introduced it, customization, while it largely wasn't extremely popular, this is obviously a new product, we did introduce a server OM to support that product. That was largely ASP in 2001. In 2003, we recognized
I'm trying to think the versions too. I mean, Microsoft, there were actually other teams that were going and building. I'm thinking, was it hosted messaging and collaboration? That was also, like, they were productizing off of, I think it was the 2001 version, where they did kind of a standalone server option where they bundled SharePoint with Exchange and went and sold it to SMBs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, and if you think about it, even 2001 itself was a conglomeration, for lack of a better way to put it, which was, site server, digital dashboard resource kit, web parts at the time, which were referred to as nuggets. So that's where a lot of the extensibility came from. And then you reach 2007, 2010, obviously 2013, and where we're at today with 2016. So we've kind of taken this journey, and market trends have evolved. Way back between 2003 and 2007, we introduced MMS, as you just cited a moment ago. And MMS, Microsoft Managed Solutions, eventually Microsoft Managed Services, was our first footstep into the cloud. As we moved into the 2007-ish time frame, MMS became BPOS effectively, as the cloud started to gain momentum. And what we did is we took that full trust model introduced way back in 2001 and tried to maintain some sense of parity with that through our partial trust model. So the idea was, let's give people a cloud-ready way to build solutions through partial trust. We carried that into 2013 when we introduced our add-in model. And really the big shift there was people wanted more client-side development. So we started to embrace that and enable people to do that through our add-in model. At the same time, what we enabled people to do was build add-ins for both on-premises and Office 365. So effectively build once, deploy anywhere. So as you think about moving to the cloud and you think about migration, you need to think about building in a client-side way, because that's what everybody's doing today. In addition to that, really looking at the SharePoint framework, which is the next level of add-ins effectively, because it's still client-side based, but it's modern, open source, uses today's popular JavaScript frameworks, the modern tool chain, enables you to do a lot of things that people want to be able to do today that they've been trying to do with SharePoint. So really, it's really taking that shift from how can I start developing in a way that allows me to move to the cloud in a manner through which my customizations don't become a barrier to entry. Now, in some cases, you may have older customizations that just can't be moved because either you don't own the source, the vendor doesn't exist anymore, and you have business processes that become dependent on those solutions. Well, in that case, that's where hybrid fits in, because you can maintain that while taking advantage of the
Well,
cloud.
and one of the things that I think I like about the hybrid story is it just, and Microsoft putting more and more support behind that story is that fact that it's like, look, if you're still getting value out of that system, like, look, I always bring up the fact that there are still COBOL programmers out there that are maintaining these ancient systems that we were doing. I remember doing Y2K updates for, back in the early 90s. But you have, if the company's getting value out of that system, I mean, you always need to look at those kinds of things and say, are we really getting that value out of that solution that we customized and built back then and having this hybrid solution versus if we went and re-architected it? And at what point is there the value of taking that cost, going and upgrading to that, which will enable you to take advantage of more of those future-looking capabilities? When's the right time to do that? But really allowing organizations to make that decision, not feeling like they're forced into making that move, but that they can be supported, still go and experience, take those cloud experiences, the modern experiences, all the latest, greatest capabilities, but then still leverage those older systems.
Yeah. And, and lastly, the other way to think about it as well is you really need to evaluate the customizations and what business need or business outcome were you trying to achieve when you decided to select that particular customization, because many of those things that required customization in the past are just native to the product now. So you really have to look at what you were trying to do or what you were trying to accomplish via customization, and does that exist natively, because that's a great opportunity to retire some of these things.
Yeah.